I'm Julia Vera Cornish.
I'm Marina Webb.
And this is
Matt Madness.
Today we are here with
Siri Ray.
And in this segment, we're going to be asking him a couple questions about just like wrestling. So let's get started.
Yes, the season is coming up, so we're going to do a quick little interview with him. For our first question we have, what made you want to start wrestling again? We heard that you were for a while and then you stopped, so just what made you want to start up again?
So honestly, 7th grade, I was trying to get into football again, and my coach was like, "Oh, your tackling's good, but it could be better. So I want you to get into wrestling. It'll help your tackling a lot better." So I got into wrestling. Didn't like the first couple of practice because nobody likes conditioning. But after that, I was just like, got my first meet, and it was just, I fell in love with it. It was more like, I got a lot of built-up anger, and I can't let that out on people because I just refuse to. So letting it out on the mat and on the football field, it's relieving and calming.
Yeah, so I hear that a lot with other
Yeah.
wrestlers as well. It's like a kind of like, because it's a physical sport, so it's in all of it, like the whole point of it is just basically to
Right.
throw the other person around. So
In our
like it helps.
football podcast, they're all talking about
Yeah.
letting their anger out on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah, because
Or-
we had some basketball people.
Basketball,
yeah,
right?
we had some basketball people who were on the football team
Yes,
who said the
yes,
same
yes.
thing about like, oh, football does the same thing for them too.
Yeah, I just can't play a sport where you don't have physical contact.
Yeah,
I just refuse to.
yeah, understandable though. But then it's a good coping mechanism, especially with anger.
Yeah.
Kinda. I have my pros and cons on that. But our second question
We
is
can get into that another time.
yeah, I'll argue with you. Okay, how do you handle going back to back with football and wrestling?
Going back to back isn't really a problem because I have Mo West, which is a year-round wrestling team or wrestling club. I went straight from nationals straight into football, which I had no problem doing at all. It was like my body doesn't get a break, but I'd rather have my mind busy 24/7. And because if I'm not playing a sport, I'm either listening to music. I don't really do schoolwork, but
Oh my god.
but it's more like I like to stay busy, and it doesn't bother me going back to back on sports because I go straight from football to wrestling, straight from wrestling to rugby. So I like to stay busy when it comes to sports, and if I'm not doing a sport, I'm working out. So
I thought I heard that we were supposed to be getting a rugby team. Was that a lie? Was I being gaslit?
I hope not.
I thought like if like either last year or a few years ago they said that I think it was a girls rugby team since we have football, and then I think they said they're gonna get a girls like rugby team in. But oh yeah, it was supposed to happen, but they didn't have like a coach, like they didn't have like a teacher who said that they would like volunteer to be one.
Yeah, we
so we
need
could
one.
have it, and you needed one. So they're like, we can't really do that, but. Also, we're not gonna tell your teachers about you not doing your schoolwork.
No,
so
they know.
No,
Always
I'm
my
gonna
fault.
tell. I'm gonna tell.
we're gonna send only that part. So for the season coming up, since football season's coming to an end here pretty soon, what's your goal for the wrestling season?
Honestly, with what I got left for the football season, my plan's to bulk up because I'm only 200 pounds right now, and I'm trying to wrestle heavyweight. So that's not going to work out very well during wrestling season. But honestly, just making sure my mind's on point and making sure I'm not getting in trouble so my parents don't pull me out,
Yeah.
because that's been the biggest thing with me not being able to wrestle the last 2 years between that and injuries. So just making sure I'm on point, making sure I can be there for not only my parents, myself, and for my team.
Yeah. Teamwork is always everywhere.
Makes the dream
for
work.
everything.
Okay. What's your favorite memory from wrestling?
I'd probably have to say Nationals in 2021. The whole national team was in the hotel. We were all swimming, and we're all having fun. And then just out of nowhere, my nose starts bleeding, and I'm just standing over a trash for
Of
like
course.
for 30 minutes, just blood dripping constantly.
Of course, Siri Ray ruins the moment. The nosebleed.
And then here comes Coach Wackerman out of nowhere. What happened? No, this isn't going to go well tomorrow. And then it's just the whole team laughing and making fun. I mean, we honestly didn't go to sleep till 2 a.m, but,
Coach Wackerman.
you know, it comes with the team being on a trip together.
Yeah.
Coach Wackerman's actually a pretty cool coach.
Yeah, he's pretty funny once you get to know
I'd say
him.
once you get to know him and you get past all the like yelling at you and
Yeah.
like you can get over that part, it's pretty good. We've had some because I'm a wrestling manager, so I've been yelled at quite a few times for
Yeah.
like clock or score or whatever and stuff like that. And there's been some like other like just managers like who, and this isn't even like just like when I started, but like before I started, like they just can't handle like that pressure
Yeah.
of like just being able like getting yelled at or having that like tough love sort of thing,
Yeah.
and like just having someone else tell them what to do. So
Yeah.
and it's kind of like crazy because like we've had, like I said, like we've had them like quit, or they like don't, they come in for like a few days or whatever, but then they stop because they got yelled at a few times, either over clock or just stuff like that. But like, I mean, it kind of happens sometimes in life.
Yeah.
And for kind of coming off that, like how are you going to prepare for this upcoming season, like just mentally, okay. I can cut that out. But yeah, how are you going to prepare for this upcoming season, just like mentally getting into that mindset?
Like I said, I'm always listening to music. It always locks me in, makes sure I'm on point. Also working out, it puts me in a good headspace. Just making sure that I know my body's good, so I know I can make sure my mind's good with that. And like I said, just making sure I'm talking with my teammates and everything, making sure everything's on time, making sure I'm doing what I need to be doing in order to get ready for that. So just pretty much making sure I'm good, so making sure everybody else is good, so that everybody can be good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
In our basketball podcast, we talked a lot about leadership and
I'll say. Do you think you're going to be a leader this year?
I hope so.
You're
I
gonna
like
try
to
be-
joke around, so
Yeah. I'll say, careful with Wackerman with that. Coach
Yeah.
Wackerman. Sorry, you didn't hear that. You didn't hear me call him just
I
Wackerman.
don't even know what you're talking about.
And where did you commit to?
Avalo University.
For our first question, what made you want to become a wrestling coach?
I had a background in wrestling and football from high school. I always thought coaching might be fun when I got into education and just kind of enrich the school day. And then my first particular year of teaching, I got into football and wrestling both as a coach. I didn't necessarily think I would be a head coach in either sport ever, but I had an amazing mentor. I had an unbelievable head wrestling coach that I learned from those first 2 years, and he literally, more than any other given thing or person, made me want to be a wrestling coach for the long term.
Give him a shout out.
Coach Burgett, he's still a head coach. He took a 17-year break between when he coached with me and when he came back. He's the head coach at Ruskin High School.
What do you think are the most important skills for a wrestler to have?
Overstated. You got to be mentally and physically tough both. You can be strong. Strong's good. You can be flexible. Flexible's good. You can be fast. You can be smart. All those things. But in wrestling, at some point, somebody's going to hand it to you sooner or later. If you've never lost, if you're not banged up, if you're not beat up, you haven't been wrestling. So you've got to be able to have resiliency and be able to bounce back from that. And that's just a general mindset of toughness you've just got to have. You've got to own mistakes. You've got to accept it when you lose. And you've got to get back to the drawing board the next day. And you got to do it over and over again if you're going to be a successful wrestler.
How do you help wrestlers meet their goals?
Big picture. When I was younger, all I cared about, I'm not saying all I cared about was winning, but I was very goal driven. We want to get this many takedowns this year. And I'm a statistical dork. I'm always like caring about the numbers. And I know if you follow your numbers, that's going to make you better at the sport. But as I've gotten older and as I've seen kids grow up and go on to their like adult outcomes, I've tried to remind kids of the bigger picture being more important. And I think that helps with the individual small goals too. You want to be a state qualifier. You want to be a state champion. You want to go wrestle in college. You got to get up on time. You got to get your homework turned in. You got to listen to your parents. You got to respect your teachers. You've got to be a good citizen of the community. If you take care of the big things, those small things have a way of working themselves out too. So I do set goals, but I de-emphasize them now compared to what I did 19 years ago.
How do you think wrestling has changed over the years?
So you got to be a mathematician now. When I was in high school, we did unspeakable things to make weight and to stay skinny, so to speak. There's a system in which your weight loss is controlled now, in which your weights are certified. A lot of that's controlled for the better. It's made the sport better. As a coach, you have to be smart on numbers. You have to know how your kids can descend in weight to determine your lineup, for one thing. I think the use of film and film review, there's not a lot of unknowns. If you're worth a hoot in wrestling, by the time you've got to state, if you're planning to medal, somebody's watched 6 to 7 films on you probably if they're doing their job. So
What do you expect from this upcoming wrestling season?
I think we'll surprise people. I always do. They always surprise me, and I think we'll be a surprising team once again.
Yeah, so let's start with our first question, which is how long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling since last year. I've been wrestling since last year. I started wrestling because my brother and my sister did it, and Coach Wackerman kept asking me, so I finally just did it.
Our second question, what's the hardest part about training to be a wrestler?
Cutting weight, it sucks. Having to lose weight to make sure you're on weight to just wrestle.
What steps do you take on that?
Sometimes we have to like not eat certain things or wear extra clothes during practice. It's kind of like, it's not a challenge more than just newer to everybody. So nobody's really used to watching girls wrestle. I guess our school is because we have Haley Ward, or we had Haley Ward. But I feel like female wrestlers, if you're trying and you're doing what you're supposed to, then it's probably easier to get noticed. What sucks is like when we have duels with the guys, everybody will come for the guys, and then as soon as it's our turn, everybody will leave.
Yeah. We had a big problem with that too in basketball.
Girls basketball.
Girls basketball, and that was a big thing. They're like, we don't have a crowd, we don't have an audience, and that's what.
And they feel like they can't perform their best because they feel like they're doing for nobody.
Our next question is, how do you recover from a tough match?
I usually just go and hang out with my friends and try to not think about it, or I'll talk to my coach afterwards and like realize, hey, this is what I did wrong. This is what I need to work on. This is what I need to avoid next time.
I wanted to ask you how you feel about this upcoming season. Like, knowing last year what maybe you might have done wrong, like, or maybe you need to fix for this year. How do you feel about this upcoming season? How do you think you're going to do?
I feel a little bit more confident than I did last year, just because I know what I'm doing now a little bit more. I've also a little nervous because I have a lot riding on this season. Because I have to keep, I want to go to districts for the first time because I am a senior, and there's only 2 seniors on our team this year. But the other thing is I have to keep good level and, like, during matches, make sure I'm showing up, make sure I look good, basically, like, athletically, because all my coaches from the college I committed to could come at any time.
Right.
And I don't want to look bad in front of them.
Where did you commit to?
Avalo University.
So what made you want to become a coach?
So when I first finished up, while I was still at college, Coach Wackerman reached out to me originally, and he offered me the opportunity to come up and coach wrestling up here at the high school. So I volunteered a couple years up here while I was still wrestling in college, actually. And so this is one of the opportunities. It's kind of what I wanted to do when I decided that I was going to become a teacher too. So when I got offered that opportunity, I took advantage of it while I could.
What do you look for in a wrestler?
I'm looking for someone who is willing to always do the right thing. So they're on time to everything. They make sure they come in. They give the best effort they can every day. More than anything, it's the time commitment and being able to commit your time and effort to the program and doing what's best for your teammates too.
How do you keep wrestlers focused after a tough match?
So the hardest thing too is like a big match, trying to keep people focused. But the big thing is you have to use every match as like a lesson or a reflection and learn about how you can get better. So immediately I'll pull our kids to the side and I'll start talking to them about things that we can fix.
How do you handle injuries that happen in a match?
So that's always a tough and can be a scary thing that happens when they're out on the mat. Usually I'll go out there and I'll start talking to the kid and stay with them as long as I can until whoever athletic trainer or doctor's on site, they can come over and start helping with that as soon as possible. We can get in contact with parents depending on the severity of the injury and get them off to where they need to go.
And finally, can you give us some advice for some people looking to wrestle?
It is a commitment. It is probably one of the toughest things you're going to do, but I can guarantee you it is worth it, and there's a lot of gratitude that comes with that sport, and there's a lot of self-accomplishment that comes with it. And one of the oldest quotes and sayings is from Dan Gable: once you wrestle, everything else in life is easy. So if you can come out and you can get through and do it, you're going to find yourself a well-accomplished person later in life.
Thank you for everyone who came in to interview with us and talk to us.
We really appreciate it, and I had a great time talking to everybody.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm Julia Vera Cornish.
I'm Mariana Webb.
And this was Mat Madness.